All right, what's going on? You listen to King Cam Ujumbe podcast, Ujumbe means message. Yeah, happy Father's Day to all the fathers, to all the men folk. What's going on? We're back together again one more time. Today we're going to talk about connecting the dots, sacred links across East Africa, gods, geometry, archetypes, and all the things. What's going on? I'm glad that you guys are here. Let me see. Shout out to Enough is Enough. What's going on? What's going on? Greet everybody as you come in. Greet everybody as you come in. And yeah, this is going to be interesting. This is the start of a new series, and I'm happy about it. We just got through dealing with Queens of the South and Queens of Neferu, Goddess of the Seven Stars, and everything. So yeah, this is a little bit different. And we got a few things to address before we get to the meat of the discussion. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Say he's a big fan. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, so let's get to it. Let's get to it now. Today we're going to talk about our four pillars. Yes, we do on our podcast. We do have four pillars, and we're going to begin our summer school series introduction. And we're going to deal with the hidden Pantheon of East Africa, sacred geometry of Axum, archetypes, the Nile River, and how East African sacred science shaped global systems of spirituality and governance. And I'm checking roll. Yeah, I know it's the summertime and everything, but I still got to check roll because I'm a teacher. So let's get down to business now. Here's our four pillars. Okay, in our podcast, we have things that we lean on, okay, and that is the four pillars. Um, and so this is not just a show. This is a return to our roots, return to our beloved ancestors and everything. We're not just talking culture. We are decoding the cosmic message written in our bloodline, in our bones, in our DNA. So every great house, every great temple is built on pillars. Okay. So if we're going to rebuild the black world, the black cosmos, spiritually, historically, and cosmetically, then we have to return to its foundations. And so that's why everything we do here is grounded in our four pillars. Each one is a key, each one is an open door. Together, they form a spiritual structure, a map to who we are and why we are here and what we're about to become. So we're going to briefly talk about these, the four pillars. And before, let me see the fam is talking. What's going on? Hit the like button as you come in. Shout out to Isu. Okay, greetings, my people. Okay, and yeah, happy Father's Day to all the men folk. Happy Father's Day. I got something for you guys. All right. Right. Yeah, double stroke drum roll. That is way back. For those who do not know me like that, and now you're gonna get to know me like that. I used to play drums in school. I used to play drums in high school and college. Shout out to the drummers all around the world. You know what's going on, Library Without Borders. You came just in time. You are not late. You're not late. All right. So, but I'm glad that you guys are here. Okay, Brother Ferguson. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Now, Brother Ferguson, guess who's not here and he's gonna be mad? Guess who's not here? He's gonna be mad. Yeah, so this is gonna be great. I'm very excited about this new series. I'm excited about everything, as you can tell. But man, but yeah. So our four pillars, basically, pillar one is Ethiopia. This is our pillars for our podcast. After doing a lot of research and everything, I find out that a lot of people they lean towards these, and I get more response, more reactions from it. Right. So pillar one, Ethiopia, the source and the sanctuary, where the Nile begins. We're going to begin at the foot, at the very beginning, where the highlands touch the sky. The ancient memory runs deep. Ethiopia is not just geography; it is cosmology. It's the land where the divine blueprint touches the soil, touches the ground. Okay, from the rock-hewn churches of Lalibela, we're going to get into some of the rock-hewn churches in Ethiopia. We're going to deal with that today. Okay, Mason, what's going on? Shout out to Mason, my hotep, everyone, please. Okay, yep, he is absent. Brother Mo is absent. This gonna be man. He gonna be mad when I talk about the Ark of the Covenant and he ain't here. Yep, get ready. Stay tuned, fam. Okay, greet everybody as you come in. I really appreciate this, y'all. This is great. Now, so the pillar one, we're gonna deal with the ancient kingdoms of Axum, from the sacred ark traditions of Zion to the pre-Axumite priesthood. Ethiopia holds the continuity of spirit that survived when the world changed. Right. This is where the Nile takes its first breath. That river, the Nile, and you know that the white and blue Nile connects a little bit later into Nubia. But in Ethiopia, it's a cosmic umbilical cord connecting heaven and earth. Ethiopia was known to the ancients as the land of the Neteru, the land of the gods, the land of beginnings. Even the Greeks and Ethiopians and Egyptians paid homage to its antiquity. Last week, I read the book Iliad. I read the book Iliad with Homer by Homer, and it mentioned the blameless Ethiopians. If the people of Ethiopia were seen as blameless and Zeus and them was running to it, there's something about that. So when we say Ethiopia, the source and sanctuary, we're talking about the wellspring of spiritual power, untouched, uncolonized at its root. Okay. So pillar one, that's why we focus on Ethiopia. That's the heartbeat. It's the encoded origin. If we forget Ethiopia, we're going to forget the throne. We're going to forget the ark. We're going to forget the lion, the womb, and everything, right? So pillar number two, Kemet. These are, for those who are new, for those who just got in, I'm briefly discussing the four pillars before we get into our summer school series. You're not late. We just getting started. Kemet, the blueprint of sacred civilization. This is the other one. A lot of the fam enjoy Kemet. Okay, a lot of the fam enjoy Kemet. So, and we had a great time. So Kemet in ancient Egypt is where the blueprint is drawn. Okay, not just for temples or tombs, but for consciousness. This civilization left us more than monuments. It left us a manual for becoming the Neteru, for becoming divine. From the pyramid text, the book of coming for by day, from the wing of the heart, the book of gates, and everything. It is an encoded system. Temples were not buildings, they were microcosms of the universe. Neteru, gods and goddesses, were not idols. They were divine principles, or they were even explained as elements in the atmosphere. Okay? The science of Ma'at and the cycles of Ra, the mystery schools at Karnak and Waset, all point us towards a sacred alignment. Okay? This is where geometry, astronomy, myth, and medicine merge into one science of the soul. Whether you study the Ennead, the Ka, or the solar bark, the solar boat, Kemet, that's our second pillar. Yeah. You figured it out. Yeah, Brother Mo. Yeah. No. But Brother Mo is on vacation. Shout out to him. He is on vacation and everything, but he gonna love this. All right. Mace, that's a good one. Zeus was called black. Blackness was seen a sign of divinity. Oh man, the fam is walking heavy today. Okay, we all up to date. Okay, yeah, yeah. My aunt, I love her. Yeah, still is Macy. Yeah, this gonna be good. All right, so pillar number three, Kush and Nubia. Now, so we have Ethiopia, we have Kemet, we have Nubia. That is the sacred south into the golden kingdoms of Meroe. It's too often, basically, we overlook Nubia and go right into Kemet. Uh, it wasn't until I went to Paul Quinn College in Dallas where I realized that Nubia and Meroe was a real place. See what I'm saying? And so these lands were actually the origin and its preserver of Kemet. The spiritual codes of Amun, the lion thrones of the Kandiks or the Kandeki or Candace, and the wisdom of Napata and Meroe all kept the flame alive. So when Egypt was overran by foreign rule, a lot of the people, a lot of the indigenous people of Kemet went south. Shout out to the fam in the Aswan area, but a lot of them went south. They went to the south. And so in doing so, they was able to keep some of that Kemetic culture. It wasn't until maybe like 100 years ago when their phenotype, their facial features start to change. Yeah. So So Kush and Nubia weren't just connected to Kemet; they were the southern spine. And so we talked about the line deity of Apenimak, the sun cults, and the throne names written in Meroid script. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna spend some time getting into that. And so this is why we focus on Nubia. So there will be we hanging our hat on Ethiopia, but there's some other episodes that will deal with Kemet and Kush and kind of interchangeably, right? And yes, that is correct. The Nile Valley civilization, Nile Valley culture started south and migrated north. For the real ones, the ones that know. Okay, here it is. Yeah, Dr. Ben's Africa, the mother of Western civilization. If you serious about that, get that. Okay. Yeah, it's a deep read, it's heavy, but you gotta get it. Okay. Now, pillar 4, the hidden code for those who love Kemetic science, esoteric, and symbolism, and all the things. That is our fourth pillar. That is when I deal with symbolism, when I deal with the meta nature or anything around that. That's the fourth pillar, and a lot of people like that. You guys enjoyed it. So the pillar is for the deep divers, for you guys, the metaphysics, the scientists, the code breakers, because of Africa's spiritual systems were not just a cultural thing; it was a cosmic thing. It was a metaphysical thing. So the womb of science, the blacksmith guilds, the serpent initiations, dream circles, star maps carved into stone. These were not just random traditions; these were sacred science. So across the continent, we find hidden knowledge embedded in oil storage, drum patterns, sacred metals, masks, the whole 9 yards, right? And so the spiritual is a time code, okay? And so the crocodile, like we talked about, Sobek, and we talked about the um, Nekbet and Wajet and many others. They forged this as an altar of creation. These priesthoods at Dandara, the Cirrus people of Dogon, the Dogon people that looked at that really paid attention to Sirius A, B, and C, the seven Heteru, and their celestial gates are all a part of this encoded wisdom. So we will get into some of that Kemetic science here. Not often, okay, but we will touch on that. Because of the hidden code, that's the key to remembering our multidimensional self. Okay, yeah. So Nile Valley culture, Nile Valley civilization started in the south and moved north. And eventually, yeah, you are correct, Macy. Kemet started and developed its own identity. Yeah, over time, the reality is over time, when you learn things from your parents, your mother, your grandmother, you start to making it your own, modernize it. And that's what I believe the people of Kemet did. They took it into the next level, took it to the next phase. Okay, but the issue was as we've seen many times throughout the dynasties, they allowed foreign influences take over. It became a problem. So these are our 4 pillars. Okay, this is how we'll walk. We'll work through the content on King Campbell Juve podcast for my new people, for my veterans. This is how we get down. Kemet gives us the map. Ethiopia gives us the roots. Kush preserves the flame, and the hidden codes give us that cipher to read it all, to read everything. So now, recommended. Here's some recommended readings. Here's some books, of course, recommended titles, recommended readings. We have a couple of books, like the Ethiopians of History. Let me see. That's a good one. Ethiopians of History, Ethiopians and the Origin of Civilization by John G. Jackson. I will have a few links in the description a little bit later. The Ark of the Covenant. Okay, Prester John. These folks spent a lot of time in Europe. The Europeans was looking for this cat named Prester John. All right, for Kemet, of course, the Book of Coming for by Day, the Pyramid Text, the Coffin Text, the Temple in Man. This is good though. This is a good one. Sacred Science is a good one. That's a good book. Okay, check it out. Okay, that is a good one. Now, let me see. For Kush, Nubia corridor to Africa, Meroe Empire of the South, Lost Kingdoms of the Nile, African Queens, Black Genesis. I knew I forgot one of them. That book is downstairs. Black Genesis. That's a real good one because it talked about Naphtha Playa. Okay, and we will deal with Naphtha Playa and the sign of Taurus and Heteru. We're gonna make those connections a little bit later on. All right. So the hidden codes, spiritual science for that. Serious mystery is good. of water and the spirit, African religions and philosophy. We're going to deal with all these things, okay? Now, let's get down to there two different versions of Templar men? That's a good question. I think so, but I think there's like the first edition, the second edition, but I don't know how extensive how different they really are. I don't know, but it's a good recommendation either way. You see what I'm saying? All right, here we go. Now, this somebody a few weeks, somebody a while back had something to say about this, and this is the reason why we're doing this, because somebody said they was from Eritrea, and I need to put my African history right and all these things. I said, bro, Eritrea just got here as a state. You see what I'm saying? So these sisters are from Nubia, from Sudan, and Ethiopia, and the sister in the middle, of course, is Queen Amus Nefertari. So yeah, pictures don't lie. So, but yeah, this is one of the when we talked about the amazing civilization of Ethiopia. A lot of people have something to say about this picture. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Sure, you came to see me, right? You came here and you got mad because these girls ain't white looking. So that's what that is. Let's continue. Now, check out the Thrones of Fire, Temples of Light. That was when we really got into the Lion Temple of Apinamak, Apinamak, I'm sorry, Naka, and we dealt with Apinamak. So, Mason asks, do you know anyone who studied the Dolomite stone structures in South Africa? No, I don't. No, I don't. But there's something I need to look into, though. Okay, because we are moving further south, and I know Library Without Borders made a humble request about connecting Kemet and Congo. I haven't forgot, so I will make sure that we look into that and work on that. All right. Now, if you want to learn more about Ethiopia, Kemet, and Kush, hit the like button, subscribe. We're about to get into it. We're about to get into the information, right? Now, connecting the dots, sacred links across East Africa, gods, geometry, and archetypes. Now, for too long, we've been told that the civilizations of Africa were isolated, divided by borders, languages, and empires. But today we're gonna return to the original blueprint, the sacred web that connects Ethiopia's highlands, Kemet's temple roads, and the golden thrones of Kush. These were not just kingdoms; they were portals. They were mirrors to the cosmos, designed by minds that walked with the Neteru, and they looked just like us. Okay, so tonight we're gonna pull back the veil on the divine intelligence embedded in African tradition, the gods who were more than myth, the geometry. It's always some math connected. It's always some mathematics that's connected to the whole thing. Okay, geometry that was more than a design, and the symbols that were never just decoration. They were codes. So check this out. I invite you guys to get something to write on, something to write with. You know, kick back. We're going to relax. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have this conversation because this is not just African history. This is our cosmic inheritance. This is what we should know and should understand. Okay, so this is our summer series. This is where it begins. We're going to talk about connecting the dots. Okay. The question is, it said, who's that? It said, speaking of stones, you think Rupe's Niagara is real? It's supposed to be remnants of the North Pole. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Okay, but that's a good question. But I'm not sure. All right, it is. Now, so really quick, we talked about the four pillars. Now we're gonna get into the hidden pantheon in a minute. Um, the sacred geometry of Axum, archetypes, Nile River, how East African sacred science shape global systems of spirituality, and I'm still checking roll. Where my book at? Let me see. All right, get to this book. Now, but here's the question. For those who want to know, these are our guided questions. These are the questions that we kind of lean on throughout this session right here. It says, how do the ancient gods and spiritual systems of Ethiopia, Kemet, and Kush reveal reveal a shared sacred origin? What knowledge is encoded in sacred geometry of East African temples, tombs, and monuments? How do archetypes like the serpent, lion, and falcon guide the soul's journey through the initiation, power, and transformation? Number 4, why is it crucial now to connect and reclaim the unified sacred arc of Ethiopia, Kemet, and Kush? All right, now here's the book. Okay, Now, this is the Ethiopians of History by Richard Pankhurst, and he comes out swing. He comes out in the book talking about how the very first skeleton was found in Ethiopia. Okay, he goes. His name is Lucy. So Lucy's skeleton is carefully preserved in Addis Ababa, where an exact plaster cast is also on permanent display. So he opens up by saying a lot of people like to say that there's older skeletons somewhere else. That's not true. Scientifically, the oldest skeleton was found in Ethiopia, and he even goes into the different language groups. The language group Kushite languages predominate today in the south of the country. The Amadic languages are clustered in the southwest, and the religion is just as diverse. Right now, he in this introduction, he touches on the Ottoman Empire. He talks about he also talks about the land of Punt, by the way. Okay, so because remember, land of Punt, we're not quite sure exactly where the land of Punt really is. Some people say Somalia, some people say part of Ethiopia, but the land of Punt, the term is identified with the territory of Arabian and African coast. Okay, that would be like part of Saudi Arabia also. Okay, the gold probably emanated from the Ethiopian interior. The gold that they got from the land of Put came from Ethiopia. Now, of course, there's the Pharaonic kings, and of course, Queen Hatshepsut went to visit. King Amenhotep went out there to visit. So he does go into a overview. Now, speaking of the blameless Ethiopians, here it is. Okay, this is on page 18. Okay, the Greeks who first gave the country its name, the land of burnt faces, Ethiopia or Ethiop, regarded it in awe, both as a far-off realm and as one inhabited by a remarkable people. Remarkable people. Okay, the Ethiopians were regarded by the Greeks as the best people in the world. Homer speaks of them in the Iliad, and I just read that last week. He calls them the blameless Ethiopians. He claimed that they were visited by Zeus, the king of the gods, by the goddess Iris, who traveled to their country. Yeah, out the gate, they get into it. Okay, so, and not to mention, not only in Greek and the Mediterranean area, of course, biblically, Ethiopia is all over the Bible, right? And of course, we have the Queen of Sheba story, the Ethiopian version, which went much further than biblical, asserted that Solomon and Sheba had a child named Menelik and brought back the Ark of the Covenant. And I got some interesting information about the Ark of the Covenant and who was looking for it a little bit later on. So hold that thought. So he took back the Ark of the Covenant and found a dynasty which reigned in Ethiopia for close to 3,000 years. Okay, so yeah, they got it done. They got it done. So now the Pantheon. Now the Pantheon. Now we're going to get into some of the pre-Christian or pre-dynastic Neteru or gods, right? There's also a species dating back too many years that had a mutation of all Homo sapiens have the mutation of the TKT11 gene. Very good. Very good. Yeah. It goes further back, but they don't want to give us credit for that. They don't want to give us credit. And they were discovered in Ethiopia also. Yeah. And so we have to understand the Nile River is a cosmic umbilical cord, flows through these highlands, nourishing the continent and linking diverse cultures along this path. So when we deal with that, we got to deal with who they revered before all of this, right? So we have a few. We have. Let me see if I can get enlarged a little bit. Astar. Astarte, that's the morning and evening star linked with Venus, okay, symbolizing duality. A lot of our African Neteru or a lot of our African deities it was always twofold. It was always two, right? It was always duality: light and darkness, war and fertility, death and rebirth. Her presence in sacred groves and rituals suggests an intimate relationship between astronomy and spiritual life. Stories tell how priestesses would enter trance states of embodying her spirit to intercede with cosmic forces. And of course, we discussed how Queen Sobek Neferu uh, took that journey also. Okay, so we have one. This is pre-Christian era, right? We also have in the ancient kingdom of Axum, which is encompassed parts of modern day Ethiopia and Eritrea, the god Atar. The god Atar was worshipped. Okay, he's seen as the father of the Axumite Pantheon. And we'll get to that in a few minutes, but yeah, Atar was seen as the father of the Axumite Pantheon. This is long before, this is almost a dawn of time kind of stuff, right? So Beher, the god of the water. So all of these were elemental. They represented a element. They represented a certain chemical structure. All of them put together represented the cosmos, represented the environment, right? And so waters of the as the origin point, the primordial abyss. Ethiopian lakes and rivers were seen as portals to creation. Rituals of purification and offerings to Beher, marked by seasonal and life events connecting human life cycles to cosmic cycles. Yeah, we needed, yeah, balance. There was balance of masculine and feminine. Yeah, and you see that throughout African history. You see that throughout the African pantheon, where there is some sort of balance, right? There's some, there's a positive, negative, life and death put together. Okay, yeah, yeah. So now, this is the thing. Okay, we have Beher, right? But this also reminds me of, say, the Happy River there, and also Yimoya or Yimoja, okay, in Yoruba tradition. Okay, a lot of these water elements kind of mirror each other, and we also know that a lot of these customs evolved over time. Okay, so we see the Happy River. We see Beher. Okay, we also see Emoja. Okay, a lot of these were they kind of coincide or correlate. You see some kind of similarities between all of them, right? So now Maher, chief god of the Axumite pantheon before the rise of Christianity, he was seen as the god of war. Okay, he was seen as the god of war, regarded as a solar deity and war god, the protector of kings. Okay, his attributes were a perfect union of royal authority and solar divinity. Axumite kings were considered his earthly representatives, responsible for upholding balance. Okay, you guys mentioned that already. Upholding balance, coronation were spiritual transfigurations, not just mere political events. And we mentioned that a few times when the queen and king was coronated, it was sanctioned, and it was the ancestors agreed to that. Okay, so we have another one, the Madir, the earth spirits. This is all before, okay, Solomon. This is all before Makeda. This is ancient Ethiopia right here. Madir, the earth spirits, custodians of fertility, agriculture, and the sacred land. Offerings to Madir link community well-being directly to earth's health. Okay, so that's another one. We have Waaq or Waka, the sky god. Okay, among, this is in the Kushite area. Among Kushitic people, Waaq is the ultimate cosmic order, creator and sustainer. Worship of Waaq involves skyward prayers and rituals timed with celestial events. Now, I think, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that Waaq is an actual city in East Africa. Pretty interesting. Okay, so Waaq is I think Waaq is a city in East Africa. So that's the pantheon of shared deities and ancient customs. Now, if you want me to go into more detail about the ancient Axumite pantheon, type Axum in the comments. So we got some other things to deal with. But type Axum in the comments or ancient Ethiopia in the comments and subscribe for more content like this, because we got to move on. We got to get to it. Now, sacred geometry and cosmic architecture. Sacred geometry and cosmic architecture is very important. Oh, I think the people are already talking. Yeah, yeah. Axum. Well, we got one. We got one. Will there be another? Axum. Yeah. Brother Ferguson says, back to the east, backwards. The X Clan. Yeah. Shout out to the X Clan. That's what's up. Yeah. Yeah. And this is gonna be something. This is gonna be something. So yeah, sacred geometry and cosmic architecture. What if? Got a question. What if African temples weren't just monuments of stone, but mirrors of the heavens? Okay, as above, so below. You heard that before, right? Y'all thought it was only in Kemet. That's the thing. A lot of people just think this is just in Kemet and it's isolated. No, this was all over the Nile Valley. This was everywhere, right? They try to flood it out or they try to colonize it, but it shows up somewhere else, right? Now, so we're gonna look at stone and spaces. We're gonna look at stone and space as coded messages, right? These stones were seen as coded messages. So we're gonna get with the math. We're gonna deal with the mathematical and cosmological knowledge embedded in East African architecture. So from the solar aligned steel fields of Axum to the underground geometry of Lalibela. Yeah, throughout Africa, Okay, see, they tried to isolate Egypt as if that was the only place that had sacred geometry and cosmic architecture, but it was all over Africa. So this lets you know that this was an African thing. Kemetic culture was an African culture. Yeah, yeah. So we're going to deal with Lalibela. We're going to deal with, we may touch on some of the Kushite pyramids, we may touch on that, and some of the Egyptian temples. But hold on, before we go further, hold on. To all the fellas and father figures, happy Father's Day. Okay, those who work hard and love on their people, love on their families. Happy Father's Day. I know it can be rough, but you know this is your day. Okay, take no L's today. But happy Father's Day. Love you guys. You know, you guys are a blessing. Okay. All right. Now, before we go further, I do have a question though. I got a question. You know, I got a question. Now, if you had a choice, y'all can type this in the comments. Netflix binge or the YouTube rabbit hole? Like and comment below. Before we go further, Netflix binge or the YouTube rabbit hole? Put Netflix or YouTube. You know, it don't matter. Don't matter. It could be comedy, it could be whatever. But if you had a free weekend, if you had plenty of time to do whatever it is you set your mind to do, or if you just want to do absolutely nothing, Netflix or YouTube? Let me know. All right. Let's see what the people are saying. Yeah. Axum, we have another. We have somebody else is talking about they talk about Axum. Okay. And yeah. Happy Father's Day. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, the temples were seen as mirrors of heaven, and a lot of them were aligned with the stars. Okay, um, they was in line with constellations or major phenomena. So yeah, Mason says YouTube. King Hurt, he says both. That's what's up. Yeah, that's I just want to know. You know, I think I'm more of a on the YouTube side. Okay, I just now if I want to watch a movie, yeah, yeah. But we're not dealing with the movie question today. We're not doing it. It's just Netflix or YouTube. Okay, King Hercules say both. Let's continue. Let's get to it. All right. Now, so sacred geometry, cosmic architecture. Right. Now the question is, what knowledge is encoded in the sacred geometry of East African temples, tombs, and monuments? How does sacred geometry show up in our culture today? All right, now the Axum obelisks. Okay, let me see, it's in the book. That's the reason why I got this. For those who have it, okay, who are in the book, because it is. Let me find the page. I'll find that in a second. But in Amharic, it is called Ye Axum Howlet. Okay, for my family, Ethiopia, y'all help me out with that one. It's Ye Axum Howlet or Howlet. All right, that's what it's called. It's not just grand monuments to build cosmic pillars on. It wasn't that kind of space, but it wasn't just something to look at. It was I'm sorry, it was cosmic pillars, axis mundi connecting earth to heavens. The precise carvings encoded cosmological principles. Windows, if you look closer, windows symbolizing portals. Okay, symbolizing portals with numerology linked to the solar calendar. Now, in the book, okay, I think page 28, Axum is famous for its obelisks or monolithic steels cut out of hard granite. The majority are rudely fashioned stones, scarcely more than height, but others are immense. Now, the largest one, according to the book, the largest one has fallen. Okay, and the second one, guess what? It's three of them, right? Three large ones. The second one, guess where it's at? It's in Rome. Okay, in 1937, it was taken by Italy and sent to Rome, and of course, the third one is still there. There are some indications on several obelisks that some metal device, possibly uh, they may imagine gilt, was once attached to the tops of them. So just like the pyramids that had gold or some kind of shining stone at the top, the obelisk in Ethiopia had a metal piece attached to the very top also. Hmm. Okay, it was probably to symbolize the religion of the ancient Axumite people. In pre-Christian time, this symbol would probably have been a representation of the sun and the moon, as carved, for example, on a much smaller obelisk. Okay, one of the most interesting inscriptions. They have stone inscriptions, right? And it kind of calls them to remember the Rosetta Stone. Okay, so they made these. Okay, and it was sacred to them. Okay, the design of Axum's steel or the stone pillars reflect an advanced understanding of sacred geometry, ratios, and proportions, mirroring the structure of the cosmos. These stones marked equinoxes and solstices. The summer solstice is upon us. It's about to get hot. All right, and tying architecture to celestial movements. Okay, this is not just they just didn't place the stones there so it can look nice. It represented something. And as you notice, if you can go a little further, it looks like a little door right there, and it has different levels. I wonder what these levels represent. Hmm. I'm just I'm learning too. I'm looking at this. There's a door right here. Okay, remember we talked about the false door in Kemet in those tombs. It wasn't to fool the tomb robbers. It was for the ancestors to go into that other realm, into the Duat. I wonder if this door is for that. Y'all let me know. You guys are very intelligent, and we all learn it together. Let's share this information. Let me see what. All right, Sister Haynes, what's going on? Hey there, community, what's going on? Blue Aries say both. Both Netflix or YouTube. Mama Louise, what's going on? All right, so yeah, sacred geometry. Let's get it. Here it is. The rock-hewn churches of Lalibela. Man, here we go. Here we go. It's created as the New Jerusalem, but also a microcosm of the cosmos. Yep. Here we are. Their orientations align with specific solar events, reinforcing spiritual connection. It was made out of volcanic rock. Okay, that is straight up sacred. Okay, and it's a living element transformed by human hands into a divine space. Shout out to the Ethiopian Orthodox Tawahedo Church. Shout out to them. But Yeah, this was built, I think, around in the 11th century. And as you notice, just like the obelisk, there's levels. There are levels here. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, in Lalibela's 11, he has 11 monolithic churches carved out of living rock. Okay, they didn't just what a living rock. What does that mean is they didn't take the stones from the quarries and move it somewhere. They just found a location and built that. Yeah. Okay. And it's very similar to like the Valley of the Kings in Kemet, where they just dug through that, or Abu Simbel, right? They carved from the living rock, were laid out in a pattern that reflects both the Coptic liturgical calendar and celestial cross axes. Bet Madame Elim, okay, the house of the Savior of the world, is often overlooked as a kind of African art structure. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church, okay, Ethiopia, they're very, when I say old school, very old school. And so a lot of their designs, a lot of things that they do in and around their buildings, their temples, are very similar to what happened in the Old Testament. Okay. This is not a theology class, but check them out. Okay. They had religion before the white man decided to have it. You're very welcome. Okay. So speaking of the art, we got some information loading on that. Okay, we got something for you. Now, Bet Madam Alim. Okay, guess what? Guess who decided to come up and see, Brother Ferguson. I told you we was gonna do this, and Mo was gonna be mad. So, nice Templar was out there in Ethiopia. They sure were. They sure were. Let me get this book. Let me see which. We're gonna start with this book. Okay. All right. We're gonna start with this page 76. Now, in this section, page 76 is links with European Christendom. Many European Christians in the period of the Crusades, which began in the early 12th century, were on the other hand keen on military cooperation with Ethiopia, then virtually the only Christian power outside of Europe. Ethiopia was a nation, a powerful nation, okay? And so Ethiopian and European Christians over the centuries became increasingly cautious of each other's existence. Contacts between European and Ethiopian Christians over the ensuing centuries developed slowly. Okay, now some monks of Portuguese and Spain start showing up. The strategic importance of Ethiopia, according to Richard, so slowly these monks were showing up asking questions, and they were, this is 13th century, they was asking, they needed Ethiopia's help. Ethiopia was like, nah, bro, y'all wanted to fight the Islamic people over Jerusalem, y'all know better. Now, throughout the period, the Ethiopians and their rulers also did remain in close contact with Jerusalem, and that's how they knew about it. Okay, so when Emperor Amada Sinyan, he was known to send donations uh, back and forth to the Ethiopian community, and Ethiopia sent donations to Jerusalem, and that was it. They said, "Look, we're gonna deal with this. We don't want to deal with all that." Okay, but over time, diplomacy came into play, right? So the earliest European communication to an Ethiopian ruler was dispatched by King Henry IV of England to the king of Abyssinia named Prester John. There was a correspondence between the king of Abyssinia and a dude named Prester John. Right? I'm sorry, King Henry and Prester John in 1400s. Okay, its author was prompted to write because prior to his coronation, he himself had been in the Holy Land, where he was informed that the Ethiopian monarch, Emperor Dawit, wished to capture the Holy Sepulchre from the Saracens. So Ethiopia realized that none of y'all, the people of Islam, y'all don't deserve it. People of Europe, y'all don't deserve it either. We finna intervene. Okay? We're gonna stop all that. And a year later, there was an embassy that was dispatched, but to kind of cool them off, it was in 1402 They returned. His people returned back to Ethiopia with relics, including it was called a piece of the true cross. Now, not only these boys have the ark, they also have a relic or the piece of the true cross. I don't know how large it is. I don't know how small it is. But yeah, so throughout from the 1100s all the way up until like the 1400s, Europe as well as Islamic people were in direct contact with the people of Ethiopia, right? And even some of the Ethiopians did go north, making their way to Rome, and it was also called Moors. So Moors weren't the West African people weren't the only group of people that was called Moors. Okay, but I got something else. Let me see. I got something else now. In this book, the sign and the seal by Graham Hancock. Yeah, we're gonna get into that on today. Okay, I got time. This summer school. All right. Yeah, nice temple in Ethiopia. You sure right. They was in there, and not only they was in there, they was looking for something. And you know how these folk are. They come in nice and peaceful, but you up there being nosy. Yeah. All right. The ark, what ark? The ark, okay, Walter. The Ark of the Covenant, according to Old Testament tradition, the Exodus and all those things. Yeah. Was it Indiana Jones, Fortune and Glory, Raiders of the Lost Ark? Yeah, that one. So let's continue. All right, so let me see what page. The Sign of the Seal. There is a couple of chapters in The Sign of the Seal by Graham Hancock that kind of touches on the interaction between Europe and Ethiopia, right? Chapter 7 is good. Let me see. Hold on, chapter 5, White Knights in the Dark Continent. Yeah. That's when in this chapter he talks about how the earlier Templars they interacted with King Lalibela, right? And it was more of a diplomatic mission. Okay, that's what it was seemed like. That's what it seemed like. Okay, but over time, as they continue into chapter 7, that's when people start getting suspicious as to why all of these Europeans are showing up over here, right? And so now we know that Lalibela in chapter 5 he left, but he was left under the guard and protection of the Templars, right? We'll talk about that a little bit later. But what happened is, I'm trying to get to that exact page. Okay, here you go. The 13th century. This now, so dealing with the reason why they have suspicion, the reason why they have some concern about it, okay, is because that they knew the ark was being moved from place to place in and around Ethiopia. Okay, and so they describe the transportation of the ark on certain ceremonial occasions. Okay, they seen these people carrying it. Not only the Ethiopians were carrying it, but according to Graham Hancock, some of the knights were carrying it too. They said white and red in complexion with red hair. Yeah, and so if the northern Europeans were seen by Abu Saleh, indeed the Templars were there. Okay, and so they contented themselves with carrying this relic from time to time. It was cool. They figure, okay, now we're able to carry. We know where it is. So what they was trying to do, okay, I'm trying to get to what they was trying to do. They were just chilling in the cut until such time they can get it. We just gonna hang out here. Okay, we know the war's going on out here, but we got another mission. We got another situation. We see the Ark of the Covenant out here. We're gonna hang back. We're gonna wait and see. Now, get this: Vasco da Gama, the explorer Vasco da Gama wasn't just an explorer. He was actually like a grand master of some kind. Okay, the Knight of the Order of Christ. So these people, these explorers, had connections, and so they was trying to maneuver their way in and around Ethiopia. Okay, and they were looking for Prester John again. And so King John of Portugal, okay, who was also the Grand Master of the Order, he sent spies. They went through Alexandria, okay, and they went straight south to into Ethiopia. Okay, so what happened in the 1500s? Fast forward to 1500s, the Muslims were also attacking Ethiopia. So what they did was they said once. What happened is in 1535 the Muslims attacked Axum and raised the ground in the ancient most holy church of Saint Mary Zion. So they were also fighting the Ethiopians, right? So what the Ethiopians did was before the attack came, the Ethiopians moved the ark. They put it in another place. Okay, they just moved it. The Ethiopians' Royal Chronicle 1541 speaks of the confident manner in which they marched up to the highlands from the coast, praising them. Okay, and so the British historian Edward Gibbon was later to summarize their achievements in just 9 words. Ethiopia was saved by 450 men. Okay, but what happened is once they got done with the Muslims, they kicked the Europeans out. Okay, they threw all the settlers out. It says, despite the debt of gratitude of this country owed to the Portuguese, okay, he made it his business. The king of Ethiopia made it his business to throw out all the settlers. Yep. So the people, okay, of Ethiopia fought the Muslims, but after years of conversation with the Europeans, they realized that okay, you're not here to help us. You're not here to even to deal with us on a spiritual level or whatever. You're trying to take from us. So y'all need to get out. So yes, the Knights Templar were, as well as some other military orders at that time, were in Ethiopia. They were sniffing around looking for the ancient relic, and Ethiopia wasn't having it. They weren't. All right, let's go. So yeah, they was looking for the Ark of the Covenant, and it was none of their business. Now, to my understanding, it is still in Ethiopia, still heavily guarded, and it is what it is, right? Now, megalithic sites throughout Ethiopia. Cairns and stone circles date back thousands of years, some aligned with lunar cycles and solstice points. These sites likely served as early observatories and ritual centers, anchoring communities to cosmic time. Okay. Now, the Nile, flowing from as a great line from the cosmic womb, the Nile itself is an earthly expression of the divine flow of life force. Its annual floods uh, or mirror cosmic rhythms of life, death, and rebirth, nourishing the land, and it's almost spirit-like, right? So, but now, I'm sorry for the lettering there, sacred geometry and cosmic architecture. And you notice when the pyramids and the Heru Emaket, well, the Heru Emaket, then the pyramids was made, it was in line with various constellations. The pyramids, as some of us understand, was in line with Sa'u, or the Orion's belt, and Heru Emaket was in line with the constellation Leo. Shout out to the fam who's born in August, right? But the Nile was also symbolic of the earthly representation of the Milky Way. Okay. So yeah. So that's the sacred geometry that they knew and understand, right? Yeah, I do understand Volta. Yeah, that's the thing, and that's tragic because the modern Christian Ethiopia did conquer the ancient Ethiopian, and so much was lost because there was fires, of course there was destruction, and they lost sacred texts and tablets and everything. Yeah, information was lost, right? Yeah. Yeah, Brother Ferguson, he says, Brother Mo will be upset with me. I'm sorry. Yeah, I, I'll hear it. I'm going to hear it the next few weeks. But you know, he got to get on vacation. I got to do the show, tomato, tomato. Man. But guess what though? Since we own that, okay, since we're on sacred geometry, we're going to deal with ancient astronomers of Nubia. We're going to deal with that. We're going to deal with Naphtali and so many things. I'm so excited about this, y'all. And of course, so if you enjoy that, okay, in the coming months, we're going to discuss connections with Heteru, Taurus, and Naphtali, and we're going to deal with the connection between Epidemax, Sekhmet, and the Sphinx. There is a connection. Did a little homework behind that. It's all connected. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna get into that. All right. So yeah. So what knowledge is encoded? Okay, with the sacred geometry of East Africa, tombs and monuments. How does sacred geometry show up in our culture today? Y'all let me know. Y'all tell me. Okay, like and comment below. How does that sacred geometry show up in our culture? I think, in my opinion, it shows up in our music. Okay, it shows up in our, because that deal with time, that deal with space. Okay, it shows up in our music, in our dancing. Okay, as a matter of fact, how we even walk, that's a sacred geometry, y'all. You know, yeah. Y'all let me know, like and comment below. Now, so far, a little bit of the introduction, the hidden pantheon of East Africa, sacred geometry, Axum. We got to deal with the archetypes and how East African sacred science shape global systems. And I'm still checking roll. And I think we have a bonus. It depends on if we got time. We may have a bonus round. It really depends. Let's go. Yeah, bonus transmission. We got it. Bonus is loading. Depends on if y'all want to do it. I do have a little bonus piece of information. Okay. Yeah. Agree. Yeah. Make me pull up and whip. Yep. Hey, I got to share the information, right? Let's go. Archetypes and the human soul's journey. Okay. Across East Africa, a trinity of animal symbols repeat itself, but these were not just totems and symbols or whatever, or those kind of things. They were living archetypes encoding initiatory knowledge and pathways of spiritual transformation, right? They represented something, okay? All right, so the serpent, we talked about the serpent before, but it keeps showing up, right? Found in Ethiopia as part of the serpent guardianship lore. In Kemet was the Wajet, and among the Oromo and the Kushite culture, as it was part of the wisdom cycle. Okay, why is it serpents? That's what I hear in the good book. Why is it serpents? The serpent represents both the Kundalini. If you're into that kind of thing, the Kundalini. I know nothing about that. I'm just a history teacher. You know, Kundalini. Somebody else may specialize in that, but it deals with Kundalini energy and ancestral wisdom, the core potential of divine intelligence at the base of existence. In some Ethiopian myths, it is the serpent who guards the tree, or the tree of sacred water, the sacred water source, right? The lion. So we have the serpent, we have the lion, right? Ethiopia is the land of the lion, from the line of Judah, tribe of David, right? To the guardian of the Sphinx, the Heru and Maket in Nubia and Kemet. The lion represents kingship, solar power, and protection. Okay, and I understand that there was some kings that had lions as pets in Ethiopia. Y'all let me know. Did they have did they have lions as pets in Ethiopia like that? I would have them in my house. I'm gonna tell you. In the temple system, lions guard thresholds and thrones, especially solar seats. So yes, it wasn't just metaphysical, it was actual, right? They were found flanking gates in Axum and other Nile Valley structures, right? All right, so the falcon, okay, is seen in Heru and the Kushite battle banners. The falcon is the symbol of the risen soul. Okay, the ascended spirit with vision, speed, divine favor. The Ethiopian royal iconography also hints at falcon imagery, representing the spirit that soars above illusion and sees from above. That's they. Whenever they had the falcon behind, you've seen some images of, say, a great falcon behind Ramses or somebody like that. That meant that God was behind this person. Okay, so pay attention to him. Or the great falcon, I was told that he flies very high, okay, and he can see you. He can be way up there, but he can still see you as if you're up close. Okay, that was the Falcon. Now, the Narmer pilot. Okay, now King Narmer came from the south. He was Nubian. He was there to unify the nation of Kemet, right? And you notice the Falcon was there, so the culture of Heru and the knowledge of Heru was already in place by the time he unified Egypt. And of course, we have the bull Hitaru there, okay, and so you see that, okay. So the Kemetic culture was an African thing, so they already had that information. So the Falcon was there, okay, and some other symbols was there. Now, and of course, the crystal incense, which was found in Nubia, which was found in Sudan, this has Egyptian imagery, but it predates the Old Kingdom. And we have the Falcon right there in the middle. We have the Falcon right there. We have the king with with his crown, okay, crown of Upper Egypt. Okay, we have some people. We have the boats right there, and we have like a, is that a, I forgot, one of them was a caribou. Yeah. So, because we have to understand, about 5,000 to 6,000 years ago, that was grassland. It wasn't desert. See what I'm saying? So yeah, we have the Falcon there. We have these people being taken away. So they did sail up and down the Nile Valley. Okay, we have the Falcon here. We have the antelope. Sorry, I said caribou. We have a cat here, which may represent Sekhmet or Basset, depends. We have some people kneeling in prison, and we have the palace facade there. All these things you will see later on whenever you see a king or Insubiti or king of Egypt. The king of Egypt, he would have the falcon and the palace facade. And the question, I think fam got a question there. Didn't the royals of Kemet come from Nubia? You are absolutely correct. Okay, they the royals came from the south. If they did not come from the south themselves, they married somebody from Nubia or Ethiopia. It's very rare that they intermarried like that. It was probably once or twice, and we found out that Sebek Neferu had there was a stepbrother and that kind of thing. So, and it was very rare that they intermarried like that, right? That's a European thing, and it's weird. So, but yes, matter of fact, Ramses. I would like to believe. I think Dr. Ben or Dr. John Henry Clark. I think they would. I heard them say that Nefertari was Nubian. So in order for a king to be legit, in order for him to be legit, the lineage had to come from the south, not from Mesopotamia, not from the Mediterranean. Right? Let's go. Historical and cultural interconnections. Okay. Now, oh, I forgot really quick. The serpent. Don't forget, there's 3 or 4 major deities, right? That kind of circulated in and around the Nile Valley. Of course, it was the serpent, which represents the earth. Matter of fact, it represents the underworld. The lion, the heart and soul of mastery. The falcon, heavenly ascension and return. Each archetype is a station on the soul's return path. These were not abstract ideas. They were embedded into temple gates, rituals, headdresses, sacred chants, and initiation rituals from Nubia on down. So, historical and cultural interconnections, right? As we continue to trace the sacred arc from Kemet through Kush to Ethiopia, we must now look at the cultural crossroads, the intersections where trade, memory, and mysticism met. Okay, this is where the ancient world didn't collapse. Okay, it evolved, it changed. Okay, African culture was remembered. It evolved, it remixed. Okay, so let's get into it. Now we have the Demet Kingdom, crossroads of civilization, Demet DMT, long before Axum. I told you we're gonna get to ancient Ethiopia, right? Now, some people, before we get to that, though, some people would like to say that, they would say, well, that Ethiopia is not the actual term for Ethiopia. I get it. I understand. but for instructional purposes only. That's the word we're using. Okay, we can really get into the different tribal names of that place, but for instructional purposes, we use Ethiopia for instructional purposes. We interchange the word Nubia with Sudan, Kemet, and Egypt, and so on. Okay, all right, let's go. The Kemet Kingdom, okay, crossroads of civilization. Long before Axum rose to prominence, we had the Kemet DMT Kingdom. It flourished in the highlands of modern-day Eritrea and northern Ethiopia. It was often overlooked. Okay, it was a crucible of African, Arabian, and even Mediterranean influences. Okay, the question, I hope that 7 says, I thought Tasseti was another name for Ethiopia. Tasseti, I haven't heard that one, but Tasseti was used as a term for Nubia. Okay, and so Tasseti was another name for Nubia, and also not only that, but they're the different. Everybody in Sudan, they were not Nubian. They may have been um, from a different group. They were Kushite. I learned recently there was different groups in Sudan. That's the reason why when the king said he's the king of the north and south, he had to either diplomatically or by force subdue all of them. Yeah, and that's correct. Yeah, that is correct. Tasseti is meant the land of the bow. That is correct. Yeah. And shout out to the girl Roxanne. What's going on? Yeah, on the one. Dig it. Yeah, it is. That is an interesting name. I'm trying to pronounce it correctly, right, without saying other things, right? But yes, Tasseti is called the land of the bow. You are correct. Ta land seti bow. It's located along the Red Sea trade routes. Kemet absorbed spiritual and technological ideas from Sabian Arabia. That is the southern Yemen region. We talked about the Sabians before, and they're entering the chat. They're coming back with it. So it's pretty interesting to hear about the Sabian people again, right? This includes early script forms, stone temple techniques, and cosmological ideas, but the spiritual core remained African. Even though they got their ideas and writing from another group, the culture was still African, with nature reverences, ancestor veneration, of course, and early temple designs aligned with the sun, moon, and stars, and even the mountains. Okay, echoing older Nile Valley tradition. Remember, this culture goes back more than 10,000 years, right? They have ritual platforms, sacred spaces, and lunar calendars found in like the sites like Yeha, Yeha. Yeha indicates theocratic rulership uh, with both political and spiritual alignment. So it wasn't just this place was just a colony; it was a fusion of culture. Okay, and Volta says Ethiopia, not the same. I do agree with you. I do agree. Okay, now I just read that. Okay, so now, but we did talk about the ancient Sabians before. Check the video out. It is available. Check it out a little bit later. All right. Now, the Axum Empire. All right. It is a synthesis and empire synthesis and sacred symbols. Right. Now, the kingdom of Axum rose as a spiritual and commercial powerhouse, one of the great empires of late antiquity, trading with Rome. Okay, India, and even China. Okay, some say they invaded Nubia for Rome. I was reading that, and they didn't. There were some altercations between Ethiopia and Nubia, but it wasn't for Rome. Okay, I did read that. I haven't heard that they were doing it for somebody else. It was an occasion where a king wanted to expand his kingdom up north into Nubia, but he was doing it for himself. He wasn't doing it for Rome. But what's more important is that the Axum persevered, preserved, and transformed. The coins were not just economic tools, but they were sacred texts in metal. Okay, early coins feature solar discs, crescent moons, geometric crosses, reflecting an inherited cosmology from Kushite and Kemetic traditions. Later coins blend these with Christian symbols marking sacred community, not a break between the old and the new spiritual system. Now, get this: Axum maintained a sacred script called Ge'ez. It's still used today in Ethiopian church liturgy. It's still used. This written tradition carries encoded metaphysical wisdom from antiquity. Okay, I do have a Ethiopian dictionary, but I can't read Ge'ez. But one day I learned it. I learned it. Okay, temples gave way to churches. Okay, but the cosmic architecture, east-facing sanctuaries, and holy processions mirrored Nile Valley prototypes. Okay, even though time went forward, of course, time had to continue. You still saw and heard elements of the ancient order, the ancient ways. So Axum didn't erase the old gods; he just dressed them in new garments. Okay, the new essence was it remained. So now trade routes. Yep, they did. We discussed that also. We discussed some trade routes in this book. It was fun. All right, but yeah, they did. They did trade. Okay, and so in ancient, so to the ancient Egyptians, the land of the south, the source of curiosity was the land of the gods, the land of Punt. They traded. Okay, not just in the ancient Egyptian time, but in the modern era. Okay, so they did trade all along Eastern Africa, the Horn of Africa, all the way into Arabia. Okay, so in ancient Africa, trade was never just material; it was metaphysical. Trade routes doubled as ritual corridors where ideas and sacred objects, chants, and healing traditions flow like invisible rivers. Frankincense from Punt. I know the fam is mentioning Punt. I may have to add that also. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know Punt fell before Kemet. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah. Shout out to Walter. Yeah, very knowledgeable. Like, subscribe, share this knowledge. Yeah. Share it with somebody who may like it. Don't just give it to anybody because they may not pay attention. All right, let's go. But yeah, so they were spiritual pathways. Okay, frankincense from Punt, sacred resins from Nubia, and carved amulets from Kemet moved through these routes alongside of spiritual texts, divination systems, and ritual instruments. Priests, musicians, and initiates traveled with traders, transmitting chants, cosmograms, sacred geometry across the desert and the water. Monasteries in Ethiopia and Sudan became knowledge banks or houses of knowledge per Ankh, right? Houses of light, preserving astrological manuscripts, healing texts, and mystic lineages. The Nile was a river of commerce, but also a river of prophecy, memory, and coded ritual. So when Christianity finally arrived in Ethiopia in the 4th century in Common Era, it didn't erase the old ways; it layered them, it flipped it, it just changed it, and what emerged was not a colonized religion. Okay, it was not a colonized religion; it was a spiritual system, uniquely African. Sacred groves, mountain shrines, and water rituals continue under Christian names. Just like over there when the family from West Africa was shipped over to the Western world. Okay, they did not. They just changed the cult. They just changed some of the Orisha. They changed some of this aspect of this idea and made it modern. Okay, you had the Candomblé. They have the family in Haiti and many other places. Okay, so they had the sacred groves in East Africa. Mountain shrines and water rituals continue under Christian names, yet honored ancestral forces. Okay, Mahrem Mahrem to Zion, and Axum in Axum or Ethiopia holds, like I said, the church. I forgot the name. It's called the Church of Saint Mary, I think, in Ethiopia. Addis Ababa holds the Ark of the Covenant, but the priesthood that guards it still follow the ancient purity laws that echo Kushite temple tradition. The ritual arts like drumming, holy dance, incense burning, and liturgical chants remain deeply rooted to pre-Christian initiatory rites. So they play drums in the Ethiopian church. like African drums. Pretty cool. In Ethiopia, spirituality was never uprooted, only replanted with new symbols, right? And of course, we have the spiritual continuity in Ethiopia after Christianity. It was still the same. They were still doing these things. They were still a lot of the matter of fact in the Coptic Church calendar had some of those months are the Netaru. Okay, you know, so we got oral traditions, living libraries of the soul. The final most powerful thread in this is the oral tradition, word of mouth, mouth to ear, right? In Ethiopia, as across Africa, songs, stories, and chants and proverbs were more than entertainment. They were encoded cosmic maps, right? So we have the Kini. Okay, I think I'm pronouncing it Kini. If that's the Ethiopian poetic chant, carries astrological codes, spiritual warning, and prophetic rhythms that teach without a textbook. Okay, we teach and learn through song, right? That epic narratives, epic cosmos. Okay, epic narratives like the Keba Nagast preserve dynastic memory, star knowledge, and sacred lineage, tracing back to Solomon and Sheba, but also to the Nile gods, the line ancestors, and cosmic worlds. Okay, the Kebra Okay, that's one of them. Proverbs act as mnemonic keys, distilling thousands of years of spiritual science in a single poetic line. These were not just stories, they were soul technologies, oracles disguised as lullabies. Okay, now, so Ethiopia, okay, as I'm thinking about this, Ethiopia's sacred links are not just relics, but living roots, right? These gods, the sacred geometry, these archetypes, these were gifts to reclaim healing and empowerment and identity. Okay, so our journey to understand these sacred links uh, is a step towards reconnecting with the East. Okay, so it's my desire for us to take this knowledge, this information, carry it forward. Okay, to generations to come. So uh, it's like that. We have to do that. We just can't just sit back and listen to somebody. I want you guys to carry some of Ethiopia with you, some of Kush with you, some of Kemet with you. Okay. And now this is our new series for the summer. Okay, Ethiopia, Kemet, and Kush, and unified sacred arc. Okay. Now, and of course, we talked about the pillars, Kush and Nubia. Every other week, like I will have a recording on Nubia just by itself. Okay, we're going to talk about the warrior queens, Napata, Moroi, the lion symbolism, a little bit of the tombs, the pyramids, and Nubian afterlife sciences. We're going to get into that. Okay, and the pillars of power. That is a lot of guys enjoyed when we broke down the Jed and some other comedic sciences. So we're going to deal with sacred geometry. We're going to deal with the Netaru. We're going to deal with Ma'at and the Ennead, okay? Because one of the fam had a question. Do you know what year counting December 25th that we're in according to ancient custom? Are you aware of documents known as the Book of Rules, the laws of the universe, the 42 affirmation of Ma'at? And he did say it. Shout out to the fam. Osiris is not his original name, pronounces Astar, right? Isis is the original name, pronounces Aset, okay? And it's all Kemet culture. Shout out to Harry Parker 153. Shout out to the fam. And that being said, I do have a playlist, Comedic Science Unveiled. I do have a playlist. That's gonna be fun. All right. Now, and we got pillars of power. So we have our pillars, 4 pillars: Ethiopia, Kemet, Nubia, and the hidden code. But I got to check roll. But before I check roll, here's the books. Here's the books. Here's the book. Okay. Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire. Very good book. That is that triggered all of this last year. Okay. Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire. And the Capital Nagast, okay, by E.A. Wallace Budge. A lot of people get caught up into which translation, which version. I don't care. Whatever you get your hands on, go get that, right? Now, the updated edition, The History of Ethiopia by Harold Marcus. That is another good one. That is another good book. Get that. The link is in the description, the affiliate link. Ethiopia, The Origin of Civilization by John G. Jackson. Okay, it's a short read, but it's a good one. Okay, and yeah, I had to throw it in there. My book, yours truly, I did write a book, The Crusades and Jihad in East Africa. Some of that information dealing with the Templars and their involvement and how Ethiopia and Nubia they tried their best to remain neutral in that whole ordeal. Okay, I did it. Yeah, that is my work. Okay, and it is out. We are planning on doing a discussion on that. We plan on doing a deep dive with that, but a little bit later on. Okay. Now, and I do have a shirt. Speaking of shirt, Queen Cam got this shirt for me for Father's Day. Yeah, I can't see it. Can't see the rest of it, but let me. But yeah, that's my shirt. That's my little merch there. Let me remove that. But yeah, it is Father's Day. So on the bottom it says, "I'll be in the backyard." Okay, it has a little cigar and a little some brown with that, little drag with that. Yeah. So it is Father's Day weekend, so I am going to enjoy. Okay, and to all the fathers and father figures, love you guys. I know you guys are doing your best. Shout out to you. Salute to you. Now, this shirt here, Amun Atunra, is in the description. That is the shirt that we made. Okay, we got a few more. Check them out. So this is our book right now, and throughout this summer, I will be referring to this book quite a few times, as well as others. And I did get another one for Father's Day, Layers of Time. Okay, yay, got that for Father's Day. I love books. I love them. Okay. So Queen Cam blessed me with that. So really happy with that. So roll call. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I enjoyed the shirt. Yeah. Here we go. I'm checking roll. Okay. If you stuck it out, okay, let me see. I know let me see. I'm a veteran teacher. I check roll to the end and make sure y'all ain't skipping. All right, let's get it. Let me see. Oh, before I get check roll, happy Father's Day to all the fellas. Okay. Now, let me see. One Voice Africa, Karuk TV, G-Man77, Quest, Queen of Kings, Empress. Shout out to Brother Mo, Brother Joseph Ferguson, Brother Will, Elliot Grant. He's still trying to get me outside. Go to the Dallas DFW African American Museum. Okay. Ancient Divination, Brown Osei, Library Without Borders, Peggy Harrison, Miss Blue, Indigo Prince, Makudirio Ankara, Grand Matter Tarot. Okay. Hoop Daddy 7, Abina Scott, Noob, Decora, Deborah Keaton, Queen Cakes, Valerie J, Kemetic Nation. Matter of fact, speaking of Kemetic Nation, we need to bring them back out. It was a lot of fun. And I think Rock With Me Nation too. We got to bring them out. Shout out to Clark Nation Supreme, Mark Carroll, and Zep Tippy Slim. And if you are still here and I didn't call your name, if you're here, comment here. Comment here. Oh, let me see. You have to do a replay, get all the books. Yeah, yeah. Hold on. The chat is chatting now. Hold on. The people getting active. Hold on. Let me see. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, we are here. Miss Haynes said we're all here. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. We're all here. I'm going to I'm going to have to replay to get all the books. Yes, and also the affiliate links are in the description also. Okay. A book list. Should I do a book list? Should I do a book list? Should I do like a book recommendation? Should I do that, or should it be still trying to work on that, still trying to figure that out? Okay. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Okay. And Demont is southern Ethiopia and much later. Interesting though, Mont means death in Ge'ez. The language of Demont. Yeah. Okay. One Ashley Nicole. Okay. This ain't here. So I want to know. Shoot. I don't know if I'm gonna have time. I don't know if I'm gonna have the time to do the bonus like I wanted to. I think we may do the bonus a little bit later. Oh, the books that the books I have already. Yes. What I may do is make a book list, and I may also do like a brief video on those books. Okay, because it's very important that we be on the same page as so much to what we're doing in the course material. Because this is, believe it or not, it is like this is designed to be like a college course, all in a sense, right? So I want us to get the readings and get an understanding as to what's going on. Yeah, 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 yeah. So, but yeah, I don't think we're gonna have the time to get into that bonus. So we may do the bonus because that it has something to do with Let me see. It has something to do with. Let me see what's that. Yeah, this is the bonus. Blueprints of the Divine. It deals with like a little bit of the golden ratio, stuff like that, right? So, but in the time being, for those who want to get in on this Ethiopian playlist, I have that, and for those who want to check out the Throne of Fire and Temples of Light, got that too. Make sure. Okay, let me see. The fam saying make sure to get as many photos in any books you write in the future to preserve the evidence which is being destroyed as we speak. Yeah, I did not put any pictures. Another somebody asked about that. It was basically a series. It was a thesis paper that I put in the form of a book. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for shout out for the new attendee with fellow native. Yeah, 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 yeah. So yeah, and let me see if you let me see if you did enjoy the content, if you enjoyed this content, share it with someone that you think might like it, and also share it on Facebook or Instagram. All right, but now let me see. Shout out to Books a Million. It's a black thing. Ethiopian Airlines, Amazon, You Nice, Mika's Hair, and Love Me Hair. Okay. But before I turn you loose, we're gonna do the bonus one. I like doing lives a little bit, so because I think it feels like a class. So I'm thinking sometime this week. I'm thinking like Thursday. What do y'all think? Like Thursday or Friday? What do y'all think? Y'all let me know. Um, because we have to move on to the next thing. We got to deal with next week the rise and fall of some of these empires. We got to deal with that next week. What do y'all think? Y'all let me know. But I really appreciate you guys coming and liking and subscribing to all the new fam, to the alumni. Shout out to the Ujumbe alumni. Shout out to you guys and to my new people. To my new people. You know, I'm country. I am a teacher. I serve as department chair, but I am country for real. All right, somebody said Friday. What say ye? We may we may have to. I'm gonna keep you guys posted. I know I have to get Prince Cam too. I may have to. Friday may not be good one. It may have to be Thursday because we're road tripping to get Prince Cam for the summer. He's in college. Yeah. Isu saying Thursday. I'm leaning towards Thursday just to get this bonus material out. Yeah, yeah. I think some of the alumni are saying Thursday. Yeah. So it's gonna be like the same time, like 8 o'clock. So because the thing is I like the lives because I'm able to interact with people. I'm able to answer questions as quick as I can. But yeah, Thursday. So I think it's gonna be Thursday. We're gonna get the bonus. We're gonna get. Let me see where it's at. We're gonna get the bonus transmission blueprints of the divine. It's gonna be about an hour, so it's not gonna be forever. All right, but yeah, it's about 8 o'clock or so. But yeah, just time is escaping me. I don't want to hijack your time, the fellas, and I don't want to hijack your Father's Day and all the things. But don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, I do have a playlist on Ethiopia, a new one. Okay, Ethiopia, and if you're interested in looking at Thrones of Fire, Temples of Light, I have that also. The books, Ethiopians, the history, layers of time. I gotta add this one too. Sign this. I gotta add this one. I gotta put this in here. I've been having this for years. I don't just talk about stuff. I actually read stuff. So, and this is really good, y'all. Okay. The wonderful Ethiopians of the ancient Kushite Empire. The sign of the seal. Yeah. So, before we go, are there any questions or concerns? I really appreciate you guys for coming. And all right, there's no other questions. You listen to King Cam Ujumbe podcast. Ujumbe means message. And we just got to kick it off, connect Ethiopia, connecting the dots, and I will talk to you later.